Somewhere inside your phone there are switches so small that electrons occasionally pass straight through solid walls built to stop them. Not metaphorically, literally. And this isn't a malfunction. It's one of the biggest engineering headaches in the world, happening trillions of times a second inside a device in your pocket. For 60 years, the entire technology industry has run on a simple promise. Chips keep getting smaller, which makes them faster and cheaper. Forever. That promise has a name, Moore's Law, and it is now colliding head-on with the actual laws of quantum physics. So let's talk about why the chip in your pocket is approaching a wall that no amount of clever engineering can simply push through. In 1965, an engineer named Gordon Moore noticed something odd. The number of transistors you could pack onto a chip was roughly doubling every couple of years, and he predicted it would keep going. It became known as Moore's Law, and, remarkably, it held. Not for a few years, but for decades. A transistor, at its core, is astonishingly simple. It's a tiny switch. Electricity flows, or it doesn't. A 1 or a 0. String billions of them together in the right pattern. Flick them on and off billions of times a second, and you get everything from a calculator to a language model. Every modern chip is just an unimaginably vast number of tiny on-off switches, and for a long time, shrinking those switches was mostly a manufacturing problem. Build more precise tools, etch finer lines, print smaller features. Each generation packed in roughly double the switches of the last, and the phone in your pocket outguns entire rooms of equipment from decades ago. But somewhere around the point where transistors shrank to a few nanometers, a scale measured in mere handfuls of atoms, the problem stopped being how to build this more precisely, and became something much stranger. A transistor works, in simplified terms, by using a thin, insulating barrier to block the flow of electrons unless a control signal says otherwise, like a tiny gate that is either locked or open. Classical physics treats that barrier as absolute. No signal, no open gate, no electrons get through. Full stop. Except electrons don't obey classical physics. They obey quantum mechanics. And quantum mechanics doesn't describe a particle's position as a fixed point. It describes it as a probability spread across space. A fuzzy cloud rather than a dot. And that fuzziness comes with an unsettling consequence. Even when the barrier is technically solid and the gate is technically locked, there's a small but real chance the electron simply appears on the other side anyway. Not by climbing over the wall, by mathematically existing there despite never crossing the space in between. Physicists call this quantum tunneling. And for most of history it was a fascinating footnote. The barriers in ordinary objects are far too thick for it to matter. But shrink that barrier down to a few atoms thick, which is exactly what's required to keep packing more transistors onto a chip, and tunneling stops being a rare curiosity. It starts happening constantly. Electrons leaking through gates that are supposed to be firmly shut, whether the switch is meant to be on or not. This is a maddening engineering problem, and it has a name: leakage current. Switches that should be firmly off still leak a trickle of electricity through, because the barrier meant to stop them is now too thin for classical physics to hold. That leaked electricity does no useful work. It just makes heat and wastes power. In a chip already running trillions of operations a second in a space smaller than a grain of rice. Here's the part that's actually kind of amazing. Chipmakers haven't given up. They've spent 2 decades throwing remarkably creative engineering at a problem that is, at its root, unsolvable in the traditional sense. You cannot simply make quantum tunneling stop happening. So instead of fighting it head-on, engineers redesigned the shape of the transistor itself. Older transistors were flat, the gate sitting on top of a flat channel. Plenty of surface area for electrons to sneak through. Newer designs, with names like FinFET and gate all around, wrap the control gate around the channel on several sides or all the way around it. That dramatically improves control over where current can and can't flow, even at scales where tunneling is a constant background hum rather than a rare event. Other approaches change the materials entirely, swapping standard silicon for alternatives that resist tunneling better. Or they stack transistors vertically instead of packing them tighter horizontally, since going up doesn't make the tunneling problem any worse. The entire modern chip industry is now an ongoing negotiation with quantum mechanics, rather than a straightforward shrinking contest. For most of computing history, making it smaller was a matter of better tools and steadier hands. Now, for the first time, the limiting factor isn't precision. It's the fundamental, unavoidable weirdness of how matter behaves at the smallest scales the universe allows. We are no longer just building machines. We're negotiating directly with quantum mechanics, atom by atom. And quantum mechanics doesn't negotiate. It just is what it is. There's something worth appreciating in that. Every single time you unlock your phone, trillions of electrons are being coaxed, cornered, and carefully contained by engineers fighting a battle against the very fabric of reality, and mostly winning, for now. The chip in your pocket isn't just a triumph of manufacturing. It's a truce with the strangest rules physics has to offer, renewed every single time a new generation of chips somehow, improbably, gets smaller still.